Qui malheureusement ne prendra pas le départ, elle a vraiment les boules, ainsi que superbe. Est-ce que voilà, alors là vous avez du très long, moi je me garde.
Hi there, so it's the night before the Mont Blanc Marathon. You saw the stage excitement there downtown Chamonix. Got my sponsor plug Nathan Zach pack, the Zach Vapor Zach, I think it's called. Nice little vest, race vest. Let's have some soft flasks up front, filled with electrolyte from Spring Energy and our code Sage, myspringenergy.com. You gotta carry required gear for this race, even though it's only 42K. You've got in the back zipper pocket. Gotta have a security blanket, gotta have a portable cup, gotta have a headlamp with extra batteries, gotta put my phone in there. I'm gonna use, I have a pretty bulky iPhone 7, but it all fits in there, as well as a windproof, waterproof jacket, which I could put in the top pack. It's already tucked in there, along with the bib there. In the side pockets here, when the vest goes on, I could put at least 8 Canterbury gels along the side there, so I could easily just reach in the pockets, grab them and go, as well as a sip electro ride. So that's the game plan for tomorrow. Wearing the Hoka 1-1 Torrent, first time I'm racing in them. Should be nice and warm weather. We'll see you out on the course. Aid station 17.5 miles in.
Finger in the way. Head's in the way. Alright, BC Sage coming through. Top 10 thus far. It's a pretty warm day out. Sage! Hey, watch out. All of this right now. You need to drink all the water. Drink all the water. Change your focus. There's always something that's better to focus on. You need to go. Yeah. I know. You're jealous. There's water. You're doing awesome right now. Top 10.
Am I?
I grabbed this.
Yeah, you're top 10.
Still top 10. Maybe a 3 or 4 minute gap.
Change your focus. Feel good. And you got to stay in the top 10. So, stay in the top 10. You got this.
Thank you.
Drink your bottle before the next aid station.
How about that for a quick pit stop? Nice job, Sage! Woo!
I'm good!
Alright, there goes a boy, Sage. We're going to pack up and head to the next aid station. Well, hopefully we'll actually to the finish. Hopefully somewhere way off in the distance. Hey! Hey, guys. You guys cheering on the runners too? Oh, I guess. Let's go see.
Woo! Ruth, you're looking good. They're close. Come on, Ida. Ida, you're looking good.
Deuxième performance de tous les temps chez les Français de 37-49 finale. Il a pris une quatrième place.
Allez, vas-y, tu peux y aller pour le beau gosse Sage CANADAY.
Alright, Sage, come on. Let's do your victory lap high fives. 10th position for Sage CANADAY from the US.
Allez, les applaudissements pour l'épouvantail Sage CANADAY aux États-Unis.
Put your hands out, get a high five from this pleasant young man, Sage CANADAY, who loves racing here in Europe. Wearing bib number 6. Savoring those final 2 steps with the spectators. And here it is. Sage CANADAY, 10th place.
Yann, on en a un qui a fait sa couverture sur lui.
Lequel Le 9e.
Ouais. Je sais quoi. Je sais pas. Ça il avait, mais ça il a pas.
Il est en deuxième place pour la deuxième année consécutive. Lancé par Miguel Chimel au départ. Et la je vous attends pas le public. Et ça parlait de ça.
And who do we have here with her coattail flying in the wind?
Allez, la première fille. Ouais, super Megan.
Good job, Megan. Way to hang in there.
Championne, elle a enflammé les débats. Seulement elle dira à Monica qui a eu un petit coup de mou avec la chaleur. Mais vous pouvez lui faire un tonnerre d'applaudissements. Quelle grande championne.
Congratulations.
Alright, now the boring part of the video. Hi there, Coach Sage here. The quick, well, we'll see how quick it is, race recap vlog. You saw the footage there. Thanks to Sandy. Check out her running channel, Running Wild to Believe on YouTube here, as well as follow her on Instagram at Sandy Nightpaver. For the footage and for crewing for me, I'll show her sister Ray was out there in Chamonix. So, really wonderful adventure. Don't take these kinds of trips and races for granted. But I will say I am a bit disappointed. I ended up, officially I was 9th place in the race as the 10th finisher across the line. The guy who finished in front of me unfortunately got a 30-minute time penalty because he didn't have a security blanket. You gotta have your required gear, it's a requirement. I wish it wasn't something as silly and light as a security blanket because it was quite hot out there, but yeah, that's one of those things you have to have. And, you know, if it was a cell phone, that would be a bit heavier, but it's kind of silly. There were a number of people that got penalized for not having their full gear, and they do check that, so, you know, fair playing field. But I was 10th runner across the line, officially 9th place overall in the results, 4 hours, 13 minutes. Yeah, you know, I'm really happy to be top 10, especially as part of the Golden Trail Series, and in that such a competitive field. It's so dense. The top 10 finishers in a race like the Mont Blanc Marathon are pretty close together. And you have a lot of density. When you race in mountain running in Europe, these races are stacked. It's a loaded competitive field. You got best mountain athlete in the world, Kilian Jornet, winning, coming off of his recovery from his injury, his stress fracture, or broken leg, I guess he had, which was amazing. The course, I think it was maybe the same. I got a little bit of an extra distance on my Simto. I wore the same watch that I did last year. Last year I had like 27.2 miles, I think, and this year, oh no, that's not right. I had about a third of a mile longer this year, and I don't know if the last 10K of the course was a little different. Someone could correct me on that. I don't remember the last 5K very well because I was hazy both times with my mind, pretty tired at the end. So it's hard to compare times with the weather too. It's warm and dry and sunny this year, which I prefer because the rocks weren't as slippery. Last year it was rainy and a lot cooler, and you know, Kilian, Stian, Mark, those guys all ran faster times last year. I ran slightly slower than last year, placed not as well. But, you know, 4:13, I'd like to be closer to the 4-hour barrier. I was thinking going in, you know, 4 hours would be a better race for me, and I think I have the ability to do it. I just need to execute it, but I have no excuses. The training was going decent going into this, but I still feel like I need a couple more weeks to really get my mountain legs back and to capitalize on it. And having experience on the course, though, definitely helped, and having crew definitely helped a lot. I felt very consistent with my energy. Spring Energy, CANADAY, Perry gels were going down really smooth, drinking electrolyte fluid like crazy. I'm a bigger guy compared to a lot of those guys, and so I do take in quite a bit more fluid and calories, I think, but I didn't have any stomach issues. Felt pretty level energy. The part that slowed me down is sheer muscle failure, and I felt it was different from last year. I ran kind of a similar race in last year, that I was doing well in the first 15 miles, wasn't climbing quite as strong, and you know, that shows in the Mount Washington results too, is I was about 2 minutes slower at Mount Washington. Still not climbing some of the first segments on Strava as a minute slower than last year as well, but being able to hold on maybe a little bit better in the middle. And I, you know, faded pretty hard in the last 8K, which I'm not proud of. But it was more of a sheer muscle failure thing and a lack of power hiking training. Just with the shift, you know, Zagama was, what, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I hadn't really done a whole lot of mountain running. So early in the season for mountain running, I think I could improve a lot, and I've put all my marbles basically into later in the summer Pikes Peak Marathon, where I really want to peak when I have home course advantage, and I might throw some other mountain races here in the US in there as well. But and I'm also doing Jungfrau Marathon first week of September as well, which I've done before. I think 6th place there in 2012. I love that race. Jungfrau Marathon, great mountain race too. But like I said, I'm focusing on the marathon distance, and it's been a transition to get the mountain legs back. And yeah, I have no excuses. In my mind, I always think, oh, I could be top 5, I could be top 3 and be on the podium, or I have a chance to win this race. Of course, going against a guy like Kilian, it's hard to say, oh yeah, I could win this race. All these, you know, experienced mountain athletes, amazing athletes, and like I said, the field's stacked. In the U.S., when you do trail races, especially ultras, it gets pretty spread out with the top 10 in terms of the time differential, and you have to take it in proportion with the duration of the race. But yeah, like even I think the most stacked race in the US is probably the North Face 50 miler in San Francisco, which it helps to have $10,000 of prize money in that race. But anyway, you know, how I was feeling during the race, I got a pretty bad leg cramp in the first descent around like mile 16, which is not good because you're 16 miles in, but in time-wise, you're only about halfway in, maybe even a little less than halfway. When I got to 17.6 miles, where Sandy was crewing me in Le Tour, I was maybe 2 hours, a little over 2 hours and 20 minutes in, and then I ended up running 4 hours and 13 minutes. So 17 miles, you know, the last 10 miles is a lot of climbing. I was not power hiking very efficiently. With the leg cramp, it was on a technical downhill. I was having trouble lifting my leg. And a lot of people think when they get leg cramps in like a marathon or ultra that they're not getting enough sodium or electrolyte. And actually, I plugged this Avery beer. This is the Avery Brewing Go Play IPA. Sponsor plug, obviously. It's got electrolytes in it. It's a sporty IPA. That just reminded me. But, you know, I was drinking electrolyte by My Spring Energy, which has a ton of electrolytes in it. I felt very hydrated. I didn't have to go to the bathroom during the race, which is great. I didn't have to urinate, but because that slows you down. But you know, and I was massively dehydrated by the finish, but I always am at the end of races. But the cramp happens early, and it's happened to me at Sierra Zinal, where I did really bad. It's happened to me at the Jungfrau Marathon, like I mentioned. It's actually happened worse in these shorter mountain races because of the intensity. You're running fast and flat for the first 12 miles on this course. We dropped like a 5:26, 5:27 mile on one of the like little trails downhill. And when you're on single track and you're running like under 6-minute mile pace, or what is that, under 3:45, 3:40 per kilometer pace, it feels really fast. Like, it's one thing if it's on a flat road, but you have a full pack on and you're running with this pack of like 20 guys and we're going that fast. It's pretty crazy. And I wasn't feeling super comfortable even on the flat parts, which definitely favor me over a lot of these mountain athlete guys, but they're very efficient and fast on it. And when then we hit the climb, it's like it starts off at vertical K grade, basically 20-30% grade, even 40% grade in some parts, and then you're climbing for 5K uphill at average 15% grade, and part of it's kind of rooty and there's some rocks and it's a single track, so you have to power hike some bits of it where it hits over 20% grade, and it's super demanding on the leg muscles if you're not used to it, especially after that fast start. Then you hit this big technical descent. Well, I was having trouble lifting my legs up. I felt my left hamstring just kind of cramp up. And these are not just like muscle failure. It is from sheer muscle failure, I think, not electrolyte imbalance, but because it's pretty early in the race. And, you know, it happens in ultras and road marathons where you have muscle failure and you're feeling your calves blow out and your quads are blown out. And, you know, if you do too fast of a downhill start, your quads could blow out and it's debilitating. This was actually like a full-on muscle cramp attack where the muscle seizes up very tightly, very suddenly, and you're yelling in pain for 5 or 10 seconds and you can't do anything and you're like basically paralyzed in place. And it happened on the second big technical descent, maybe about 30K in. And I had to stop. I had to stop and stretch it out. But again, sheer muscle failure. You're asking your legs to do something that they can't quite handle, and the muscles just fail. It's not a sodium or potassium imbalance, I don't think. I mean, that definitely kind of eggs it on. Being late into a race, having run a lot of miles or kilometers, being on the edge of glycogen depletion and bonking, that definitely makes your muscles feel like they're locking up. But these sudden cramp attacks, I believe, are from sheer muscle failure, because it happened to me in the first 10K at Sierra Zinal one year, and I had a disastrous of a race there. But I had to actually stop and stretch. That's the only way I could get away with it. And luckily for me, the finish of Mont Blanc Marathon is uphill, so I was able to move uphill, but was not power hiking very efficiently. I haven't been power hiking in the mountains that much yet this summer. No excuses though. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna really focus on Pikes Peak Marathon here coming up in 6-7 weeks. So I got a lot of time to altitude train back here in Colorado after great, wonderful travel. And, you know, I don't want to sound ungrateful. Like, yeah, I'm disappointed with the race. It could have been a lot worse, though. It was a big improvement from Zegama. Looking forward to get top 10 in the field, a huge honor. And to be able to just toe the starting line of such an amazing event and have the opportunity and financial support to travel to such an amazing place like Chamonix and do these international races is a huge privilege. And to have my health and the ability to train and the gear, thanks to title sponsor Hoka 11, to name a few, and thanks to, you know, all the supporters on here for you guys following, and people I met in person in Chamonix. It was great to meet a lot of you guys in person, either doing one of the races or just out there spectating or giving me film clips and things like that. It really means a lot to me, and to hear about your running as well as, you know, commenting on here and yeah, subscribing on this channel, following on any social media is really great. And you know, I don't take any of that for granted. It's all made possible by the generosity of you guys in the running community. And so I don't want to sound like I'm all pissed off about the race. I guess I feel very fortunate to have been able to take part and to do that and to have that performance, because it takes a lot of support from a lot of people to be able to just get there and toe that starting line. And it's an amazing race. The scenery is just amazing. Chamonix is a super cool town. I look forward to being back there. Unfortunately, I won't be back there for UTMB week. A lot of people ask me that. I'm not doing UTMB this year. It was a tough decision. I love UTMB. I want to go back in the future, but I want to focus on 50K and below races mainly this year, and the shorter marathon mountain races this year. As you know, I'm doing the Golden Trail Series, so Pikes Peak will be next on the stop for me, where I actually have home course advantage, and I know the course, I know what it takes to win,
in the ascent at the Pikes Peak, and I'm looking forward to trying to peak for that race, pun intended, and to do a lot better there on my home course advantage here in Colorado, as well as training in the high country of Colorado. It's great for the summer season to get altitude trained, especially in these mountain trails. So good to be back home. Hard to leave Chamonix though, as well as all the wonderful people I met. But thank you so much, guys. Really, really appreciate all your support and comments on here. Hope your running's going well. Always great to hear from you. Yeah, thank you again, and stay tuned for more.